DC here. Hi, guys and gals. Well, it is Thursday evening. Mrs. DC is out at a company party. More and more places over here are having their yearly parties in January or what, like my company does that as well, instead of December when it's the crazy time. So all the nurses are out, and actually, from what I understood, there's somewhere where they can actually, I think they're going to be playing bowling or something like that. Anyway, they're kind of not automatically a bowling alley. Over here we've got these places, well, this where she is a place called Fun Planet or something like that. And they've got different type of, you can eat there, and they got different rooms or halls or what, and you've got games and stuff, like but amongst others, bowling. But today I was going to talk about something, an article that I saw in the Atlantic magazine this week. And it's got the title, When Does Someone Become Old? Let me just put a little bit of light here because my age, I don't see as well. No, it's funny because one of the reasons I ticked on that is that in June of this year, two of the senior management people will be retiring. And it made me realize that actually in the administration building where I work, I will be the oldest person. And I was thinking like, wow, I never actually realized that. Like I'm going to be the next one retired in a few years. If that still happens by then. Anyway, but it kind of got to me and I said, wow, is that really possible? I knew I was coming up to retirement age slowly, but it just kind of like said, oh wow. And okay, so this article was just kind of funny because, by the way, don't worry, I'm not like feeling old or nothing. But, the gray hair is still there anyway. And you do realize it when the way people talk to you at times. You're not, the young people, they're very nice, and I mean, we get along really well. But all of a sudden you realize that you're not in their category, you wouldn't be considered sometimes for certain things, whatever. So here, I mean, the first thing starts off really nicely, isn't it? Once people are past middle age, they're old. That's how life progresses. You're young, you're middle age, then you're old. So the whole idea, well, at least a large part of the idea in the article was that in today's age, you don't like to use the word old. So if you don't use the word old, what label should you use? So, I mean, it was like they were asking, and they said a poll in 2016 had asked American adults when they thought somebody would be qualified as old. So that then, at least in those days, which is not so far away, 2016, people said when you're 65 and older. Then, I mean, but the thing is that the poll, this was with people, between 18, let me see now. But then they asked some of the younger people, between 18 and 29, when would you be considered old? And then people started making you old younger and younger. It's all of a sudden with these people, you're old when you're over 60. And as they were saying, it seems, and I know that by myself, and most of you who will be listening to this will be able to say this, or watching this will be saying the same thing, is that as soon as we get closer to that perception of when one is considered to be old, we don't think it's old. I mean, like, how many people do you know? I was talking with I was in Ireland. I was talking with this man in this store. He was, which I go and see every now and then. He's 83, and he at one point turned to me. He says, "Well," he says, "of course, a young guy like yourself wouldn't." It was really funny because, of course, he didn't actually really. He realized he was a senior at 83, but I was like a young kid because I was like 20 years younger than him. So part of the article is going on about what is the classification, and of course, then some people said I wouldn't say 65 is old, and then other people would say, oh well, it's middle age. But does that mean middle age? Does that mean you have to be 130 before you're old? So the question was, should we say older people? Is that better? I mean, or is it, what does it actually mean? Older adults have more experience, and so on. So they were saying, should we be calling you experienced people? It's actually, it seems that for some people, it's a problem. So they said here that a 65 years old or a 75-year-old or even an 85-year-old person are old. What are they? So then it was again the question, does one have to say older? But what do you say? Older to what? So, basically one of that was a bit of the perception. Then there was a question of senior. I mean, we've been hearing the word senior citizen for a long time. The problem is that a senior very often conveys something of more experience, of a kind of like a senior vice president or whatever. And that doesn't always mean that the seniors is out at a good time either. Then there's the word elderly. Now, elderly usually is for somebody that's supposedly feeble. So you can't use that one. So what are you supposed to use? Let me see, what else did they bring up in this? Retiree. Well, that doesn't always apply, does it? Then there's the word elder. But an elder can be, something else. Actually, I was an elder in a church when I was a lot younger than I was now. It just meant somebody with maybe more experience or whatever. And then there was geriatric. Well, I don't want to be called geriatric now, do I? So, I don't know. I mean, there's the word sage. We don't use that. Golden years. Well, golden years. So, and then there's some people talk about the fourth age, which is after 80. So what are we supposed to do? It seems like because we're all living longer, at least some are, that we don't know how to qualify ourselves. And one of the problems with that, actually, is based on the fact is that there was a time when you never retired, we could say, because there wasn't any retirement plans. You would just work, and eventually you would be really the senior who would be helping around as best as you could. Now, we've got this retirement age, which is more or less, flexible. But if you're continuing to work, okay, are you an older employee? There's the word older again. I don't know. Funny thing is, you look at this article, and you realize that they don't know what to say. So then they were saying that 65 was more or less an arbitrary number. That's because very often retirement age had been put there. There was certainly no biological basis for that, because a lot of people at 65 are in pretty good health. Over 75, okay. So, it was like, they were saying, should we put people in the categories? You're the over 65, you're the over 75. Finally, at the end, they don't know when we become old. So the question I'm asking you is that, does it matter? Does it actually matter? I think that, as far as I'm concerned, I think physical limitations make you realize that age is coming. But, if you're able to use your head, if you're able to get around, if you have your hobbies, if you have your social life, and I would say in a way, if you're able to interact with people of all ages, and if you have the chance to interact with people of all ages, why bother about talking about young or old? Where I work now, and I don't know how long I've been talking. It's probably been quite a long time. Oh yes. But if you realize is that if I work with people who are 10 years younger than my children, and I get along with them and I consider them actually friends, or at least good work colleagues, is age such a big thing? I'd say it isn't anymore. So when are you going to be old? Probably when I decided I'll be old. I guess so. Anyway, you make up your mind. Tell me what you think about it. DC signing off. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye. Have a good evening.